the Southern Ohio Farm Show. This is Gigi Neal of OSU Extension in Claremont County, Agricultural and Natural Resources Educator.
I'm James Morris, the Agricultural and Natural Resources and Community Development Educator for the Ohio State University Extension in Brown County.
Hello, my name is Richard Purdin. I'm with the Ohio State University Extension. I am the Ag and Natural Resource Educator for Adams County and the Community Development Educator for Adams County, Ohio.
And I'm Brooke Beam, the Ohio State University Extension Educator for Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Community Development in Highland County. And we will be your hosts for the Southern Ohio Farm Show.
Hello again. I'm Dave Apsley. I'm a forester and a natural resources specialist with Ohio State University Extension. Today I'm joining you standing in a swamp. This is not normally a swampy species, but it's grown along my woodland edge, and the swamp's the only place I could get really good access to the flowers. This shrub that I'm going to introduce you to today is called black haw. It's actually a viburnum. It's Viburnum prunifolium. So black haw is fairly common in Ohio. It actually occurs from about Missouri through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and all the way over to Virginia. Doesn't go very far south of us, and it really doesn't go very far north of Ohio either. You don't really find it much in the lake states. And then to our south, it has a cousin, rusty black haw, which is a very similar looking species. So how do we identify black haw or Viburnum prunifolium? Well, first of all, I mention that scientific name because that name gives us a clue. Prunifolium means cherry-like. So these leaves are very much like our native black cherry foliage. Leaves are elongate, they're kind of oblong, they have a very finely toothed edge or margin. Unlike black cherry though, these leaves are paired or opposite. So all the viburnums are opposite. You're going to have leaves in pairs. So wherever you have one, you're going to have one on the opposite side of the twig. And also the twigs are very much paired as well. So these leaves can get up to about 3 inches long. Again, they come to a nice point. They have a nice finely serrated leaf margin. They'll also have reddish petioles. So the little stalk where it attaches to the twig is somewhat reddish. And a lot of times on the edge of the leaf or the margin of the leaf, they're going to have a little bit of a reddish or pinkish tinge as well. So again, Viburnum prunifolium. Prunifolium means cherry-like, so these leaves do look a lot like black cherry leaves. So buds on the twigs are not very present right now. The leaves have just expanded, so new buds have not formed. But the buds are very unique. They are valvate, so they have two bud scales, very similar to black or to yellow poplar or tulip tree. There are two bud scales that come together. Unlike yellow poplar, they're not duck-billed. They look more like a bird's beak. They're much more elongated. They're kind of pinkish or purplish in color, but you'll have a nice seam along the edge. So you've got these two bud scales that come together and make a nice seam, and they're somewhat elongate. The flower buds look very similar, except they're swollen at the base. And the Virginia Tech key mentions that they look like the buds have eaten a BB. So you've got this normally elongate bud, but when it becomes a flower bud, it gets swollen down at the base. And those flower buds occur out towards the end of the twigs normally. Also mention the flowers. The flowers are in their full glory right now. These are about 3 inches or so in diameter. They're kind of creamy white. They got these yellow anthers popping out, and they're very beautiful. A lot of these shrubs a week or so ago were just covered even more than they are now. Some heavy rains, I think, have knocked some of those flowers off. But again, very showy. Viburnum, when these flowers mature and they start to produce fruit, they're going to produce a little droop, maybe about a 1/3 inch or so in length. They're dark and purple in color, almost black, and they'll droop down in clusters. Very good for wildlife. It's a really nice shrub to have in your woods for that purpose as well. Twigs, as I mentioned, are opposite. They'll have a nice, that central twig will be out there, and then you'll have the side twigs or the lateral twigs are going to come in at almost a 90-degree angle. And then the next set of twigs will be at a 90-degree angle. And so you've got these rows of parallel twigs coming together. And the way I remembered them, they look a lot like the old TV antennas. Now, some of the folks in the audience may not remember those, but the TV antennas used to have on the house before we had cable, you'll have these series of parallel little twigs that come together onto the central twig. So again, Viburnum prunifolium. When we turn around and look at the main stem, you're going to have a stem that can get up to about 3 inches in diameter. The shrub can get up to about 20 feet or so in height. And that bark is real blocky. There'll be very small, squared off little blocks, kind of like an alligator hide. And especially the lower part of the stem will be very blocky. It's one of my favorite shrubs. So again, this is Black Haw Viburnum prunifolium. It's a wonderful native shrub. Thanks for your time, and be sure to take at least part of your day to enjoy it in the woods.
Hello. Today you will learn about an incident that involves a professional excavator hitting one of Marathon Pipeline's high-pressure petroleum lines. Fortunately, no one was injured on site or in the public, but this event re-emphasizes the need to always use your state's one-call system, as well as plan projects effectively so that no critical information is overlooked or forgotten. Placing a one-call still remains the most effective way to prevent damage to underground assets. Now let's learn some details about our pipeline hit.
I'm Brent Breedlove. I'm an excavating contractor here in Central Illinois. This is our Deere 350 excavator. This is the machine my crew was using the day we encountered the pipeline. We've got this bucket designed with wings on it for digging in the sandy soils around here. We got 30-inch bucket with the wings designed at 7 foot wide up here on top. It makes a nice safe trench for our guys to be in, and we don't have to worry about trench collapsing. We were subcontracted to dig water line for a new irrigation system going in this field. In the past, we've worked with this irrigation company 4 or 5 years or better. Always used to get plat books, maps, dig numbers. We generally dug under their dig numbers because we didn't know where we were going till the morning. We followed them to the job site, basically. As time went on, we didn't get as much paperwork. Just say, hey, this is the dig number. We were digging, we encountered a pipeline. Obviously the guys stopped. As soon as they uncovered, saw it was a pipeline. As soon as my crew called me and said they'd hit a line, I called the irrigation company to find out what was in the area, what was on the one-call ticket, and they informed me they didn't have the one-call ticket. So my first thought was all of our guys could be dead right now. You know, both crews. They've got a crew and I do too, and this could have been awful. We told them to go look for markers. They did find a marker out on the edge of the field. Found out it was Marathon line, called the phone number to get Marathon's employees out there.
When we receive a call from an excavator indicating that they may have potentially damaged our pipeline, we determine their location, shut down the affected pipeline systems, call our closest field office to send personnel to investigate the damage.
When I arrived on site, Marathon was there assessing the damage. They had already called an excavating crew to open the pipeline, dig it open, find out how bad it was.
The excavation crew was trenching from a well near the road, then across a field when they hit the line. This 12-inch diameter pipeline transports gasoline and diesel fuel from Wood River, Illinois to Griffith, Indiana.
My name is Matt Fix, and I was the engineer that was responsible for the planning and execution of the permanent pipeline repair. At the point of contact, the pipeline was approximately 4 feet underground. After talking with the excavator, we believe that the teeth of the bucket were pointed straight down, which explains why there was a large dent in the pipeline instead of a puncture. When we initially arrived on site, we did an assessment and determined that we needed to put a steel reinforcement sleeve over the dent to restore integrity to the pipeline. The dent was so deep that it wouldn't allow our assessment tools to pass through, so we had to come back with a permanent repair where we cut out a piece of the pipeline, took that out, and then installed a new piece. The planning and execution of the permanent repair took 6 months and came at a cost of $900,000.
Being this was the first time we've hit a line, I wasn't sure what to expect. Called the insurance company. They got a claim started for us. We're still waiting to see how it turns out. Don't know the expenses incurred yet. I'm sure the rates are probably going to raise, but I just hope they don't drop us with insurance. After being on site today, watching the repairs, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of men, a lot of hours, a lot of responsibility. I had no idea it takes this much to repair a damaged pipeline. After hitting the pipeline, the valuable lesson was getting your own one-call ticket, whether it's big job, small job, it doesn't matter who you're working for. Even if you've worked in the same area, make sure you get your own one-call ticket and try to prevent somebody from getting hurt or killed.
In Illinois and most other states, it is a requirement that each excavator have a one-call ticket in their company name to be able to work on a given site. And this is also a national best practice.
As expensive as this project was, the results could have been catastrophic. The pipeline runs at a pressure of 800 pounds. Had the excavator bucket teeth actually punctured the pipeline, there could have been an explosion, likely a fire, and potentially a loss of life. The chance of damage to underground utilities is reduced to less than 1% by submitting a locate request. Call 811 or make an online request at least 3 business days before your work is scheduled to begin to ensure you have underground utilities located and marked. Protect yourself, your employees, and the public by always calling 811.
Hello, my name is Richard Purdin with OSU Extension. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Educator and Community Development Educator for Adams County, Ohio. And today I'm out in the field here in a red clover and orchard grass stand. And today I want to talk about the benefits of red clover and why it has made its place on the farm as one of our top quality forages. So red clover, often referred to as poor man's alfalfa, but also today's new varieties can be thought of as even higher quality or susceptible qualities as alfalfa. So red clover is a legume. So the benefits of a legume is that it fixes a lot of nitrogen for our other crops in this field, such as our orchard grass or timothy that can be sown with our red clover. Also, red clover is a good companion crop with other grasses and a great legume to sow in our pastures to help boost our diversity and our nitrogen using less fertility in our pasture settings. So some of the things about red clover that makes it a beneficial crop that might be a good replacement to alfalfa, or it might be a good companion to alfalfa, is that it is a little bit more easier to establish on thinner soils or lower quality or lower fertility soils. Red clover can actually be established in soils that are less than 6.8, but we want to make sure our pH is still around 6.0. So red clover still needs to have good soil pH values, at least 6.0 to 6.5, but it can take those lower pH levels that alfalfa does not grow well in. Also, clover responds very well to phosphorus and potassium fertilizer. So when establishing, it can respond very well, and you can get very good yields from a potassium or phosphorus application. Also, poorly drained soils. Red clover grows very well with poorly drained soils. So establishing red clover on heavy clay, silt loam soils is much easier to do than our alfalfa varieties. Red clover can also be very nutrient dense. Relative feed values can be 9 to 10 points higher than alfalfa at certain maturities. So thinking about red clover, it also has a relative high relative feed value. Also, a bypass protein is much higher in red clover than it is alfalfa. So red clover has its place. It can be mixed with alfalfa. If you have a thinning stand of alfalfa, it can be sown into alfalfa and make a good quality forage. Also, red clover is known to help alfalfa actually release more nutrients when it's in a ration with alfalfa through the fermentation in the rumen of the animal. So red clover, a great forage for establishment in southern Ohio. You got basically early spring or late winter frost seeding is a great way to plant red clover. You can broadcast this on in the latter half of February or the first half of March, and the seed can be incorporated through Mother Nature freezing and thawing the soil. This is the way this stand was done. It was frost seeded. Also, you can plant in the spring, but you want to make sure you have that done by May 1st. And you can also plant in the fall, and usually that starts the 1st of August, and you want that done by the first week of September in southern Ohio. In northern Ohio, you would want to have that done by the end of August, and you would want to have your spring seedings done by at least the second week of May. So if you're thinking about sowing red clover, it's a great forage. Once again, it's a good companion crop with alfalfa. If you have a thinning stand, frost seeding some red clover this winter or this late winter, early spring would be a great ideal situation into that alfalfa stand where you cannot sow alfalfa again with an existing stand. If you have any questions on red clover, just give me a call at 937-544-2339. Everybody have a great day and happy hay harvest.
Greetings, my name's Tim McDermott from OSU Extension, Franklin County, and now it is time for our June update in the community garden. The word of the day is harvest. Lots of things need to come out of the ground now. Make sure you're harvesting your cabbage, your lettuce. Get it before it gets bitter. Lettuce will get bitter in the heat. My leeks and my onions are coming along great. I'm going to let the majority of my onions develop into big bulbs, but I'm pulling some green onions now. I'm also harvesting turnips, radishes. My sugar snaps are coming on strong. Make sure to keep harvesting so you keep getting more pods. My kale's still coming on strong. I can harvest that almost daily. My cauliflower has been completely harvested, but I got some nice broccoli coming along right now. For my summer crops, I have my eggplant and my peppers in the ground, keeping them mulched, keeping them watered. For my tomatoes, they're in the ground as well. What I am making sure I do is train them to a double leader and then pruning lower leaves for overall tomato health. For plant maintenance, make sure you're pulling your garlic scapes off of your hard-neck garlic. Remember that asparagus we planted? Next year's harvest is this year's management: water, weed, and mulch. Word number 2 of the day is bugs. Flea beetles were horrible last year. This year I'm noticing them in pretty decent numbers as well. See that butterfly? That is the cabbage white butterfly, the most common butterfly in Ohio. It lays a solitary egg on brassicas, and then its larvae can eat a surprising amount of your food, so keep scouting for them. I'm also seeing bean beetles on my beans, and I've noticed that we have had the emergence of cucumber beetles, so make sure that you are scouting for them right now so that you can address them, because they will devastate your cucurbit plantings. Keep an eye out for slugs as well, especially if you have high organic matter content. Going forward, when we look at our predictive models, the 1 month shows about normal preset, maybe a little bit warmer, and the 3 month for summer shows above average temperature and moisture predictions.